Good morning. Happy Friday. How are you? Just kidding. I can't hear you because I'm presenting a video to you. And if you're watching, this is another newsletter wrap-up video of my infamous newsletter called AI versus Marshy. And if you click here, lukemarshall.net/newsletter, and want to just scroll through other editions, have been very consistent. But this particular video is focused on this week's, and we cover the regulations saga and the potential ensuing monopoly that could happen. A tooltip around using Excel. I'm an Excel nerd, and it's better than a pivot sheet, trust me. And one of the biggest takeaways from OpenAI DevDay, this happened on Monday, so that's light years in AI world, but I'll give you some takes on that as well. So last week I covered the interview with a former AI leader that was talking around big tech's assertions that AI is an existential threat. And that plays into big tech's hands in some way because it incites regulation, and regulation then provides a competitive advantage and monopoly for those that are already ahead. Like challenges cannot then come because there's too much red tape. And that's essentially the argument that's been penned from an open letter to opposing the AI executive order that's come out of the White House. It features some AI thought leaders in this space, Mark Andreessen, Jan LeCun, who I pick on a bit in this newsletter, but he actually does lots of good stuff as well, and Toby Lutke from Spotify CEO, Shopify. That's a typo. It's going to bug me. Shopify. And John Carmack, inventor of Doom, but he's also done a lot of stuff in augmented reality. So one of the main arguments is that this throttles competition, and it does. And so it's pretty obvious why it's not a good idea to just bring the hammer down and regulate without thinking. As I've sort of immersed myself in this space, I quite enjoy or think the school of thought around open source is probably the way to go. I think adding more heads to solving this problem in an open, competitive, or collective approach seems like the better way than giving it to something we can't see, who has a lot of money and resources, and then just trusting they're going to do the right thing. That's my point of view. And yeah, we'll see how this space emerges. The tooltip, getting Excel macros on like a boss. So I'm an Excel nerd. I love a pivot sheet, but when it gets to macros, I'm like, ugh. So naturally you can use ChatGPT for this. Masters of Work is one of my sources of information for this stuff, and they've done a tweet storm on sort of how to easily do it with ChatGPT and embedding macros in VBA for Excel. So if you're a nerd like me and want to try that out, go nuts. And where are we? Over here. The last bit was the wrap up of OpenAI DevDay. Happened on Monday. That's light years in AI world, but there's some good summaries out there of what's happened and what people are doing. And I think one of the things I really like is this call out from the author of this summary that if you didn't get in, if you're a developer and didn't get in on App Store or Shopify apps, now's your time. Like look at Shopify curve here, slow adoption here, and then it sort of explodes. ChatGPT, we're at 0 now. And probably the interesting part as well is you don't even have to be a developer. You can write GPTs without code, no code. So that's pretty interesting space there, I would say. One other small thing, ChatGPT is now updated April 2023. So you're wondering who won the 2021 AFL Grand Final, you can now look it up and cry if you're a Western Bulldogs supporter like me. But if you're a Pie supporter, it doesn't count. You haven't won the Grand Final yet. And that's it for me. As you can tell, my newsletter does look pretty low tech and ghetto. Like these graphics are certainly not graphic designer level. I'm thinking of updating it. I don't know. I like this kind of shitty, but as this newsletter grows and gets tons and tons of subscribers, I think it's probably time for a refresh. And I'm clearly enjoying it. I'm over 20 editions now. That's it. Have a good weekend. If you want to subscribe and get more of these AI news in your inbox each Thursday, then subscribe by visiting lukemarshall.net/newsletter. Otherwise, you can just watch these videos. Thank you and have a good weekend.